Have you ever wondered what it takes to get into the most exclusive club in the entire universe? Well, it's not about who you know. It's all about what you are. Today, we're diving into the world of the ultimate gatekeeper, the living cell membrane.
Okay, I know that sounds like a weird question, a bouncer and a cell. But trust me, the answer is the key to understanding how pretty much every living thing, and that includes you, actually works. So what's the connection here?
And there it is. Every single one of your trillions of cells has its own personal bouncer, a gatekeeper that is incredibly picky about what it lets in and what it kicks out. And that bouncer, that gatekeeper, is the cell membrane.
So yeah, you can think of the cell membrane as the ultimate velvet rope. It's this barrier separating the chaos of the outside world from the important stuff happening inside the cell. But, this creates a pretty big challenge for the cell, doesn't it?
I mean, a cell is a super busy place. It's constantly trying to bring in the good stuff like nutrients, while at the same time, it has to get rid of the bad stuff like waste. And it has to do all of this while staying safe and protected. So how in the world does it manage all that with a barrier wrapped all the way around it? Well, turns out it has a couple of really clever tricks up its sleeve.
The first method is, honestly, the easiest one. It's all about just going with the natural flow of things. Scientists call this passive transport, and that key word, passive, is super important. It means the cell doesn't have to spend any of its precious energy. It's basically effortless.
And the most fundamental type of this passive transport is called diffusion. Now I know, the textbook definition sounds a little dry, but the concept itself is something you literally experience every single day.
Think about it like this. High concentration, that's a super crowded party where everyone's packed in shoulder to shoulder. Low concentration, that's the totally empty hallway right outside the room. So what do people naturally do?
They spread out, right? People start moving from that crowded room into the empty hallway just to get some space. It's just a natural tendency, and it doesn't take any effort at all. Well, molecules do the exact same thing. Just think about when someone bakes cookies. At first, that amazing smell is really strong. It's concentrated right by the oven. But pretty soon, those scent molecules spread out. They diffuse until you can smell it all over the house. That's diffusion, a simple, natural movement from high concentration to low.
Now, there is a special kind of diffusion that is so incredibly important it gets its very own name, osmosis. It's the exact same principle we've been talking about, moving from high to low concentration, but it refers specifically to the movement of water, and its effects are something you can actually see with your own eyes. In fact, you can see this for yourself with a super simple experiment. All you have to do is take a dry, shriveled up raisin, pop it in a bowl, and then just cover it with some water. And then, you just have to wait a little bit.
So what do you think? What's your prediction? Knowing what we now know about osmosis, the movement of water from an area of high concentration to low concentration, what's going to happen to that little raisin sitting in the water?
It gets plump. It totally swells up. The water from the bowl, which is a high concentration of water, naturally moves across the raisin's skin, that's its membrane, and into the raisin, which has a much lower concentration of water. That is osmosis in action. Simple, effective, and requires zero energy from the raisin. But look, just going with the flow can only get you so far. What happens if a cell needs to move something against that natural current? What if the good stuff is already crowded inside the cell, but it needs even more? Well, that's when it has to pay the price of admission. It has to use energy. And this process is called active transport. As the name suggests, this is anything but passive. The cell has to actively work. It has to spend its precious energy to make this happen. Let's go back to our nightclub analogy. Imagine there's a VIP, someone really important, waiting at the very, very back of the line. The bouncer wants them inside, right now. They can't just wait for the line to naturally thin out. No way. The bouncer has to go out there, use their energy, and actively pull that VIP right to the front and inside. That takes effort, and that is active transport. So why would a cell bother spending all this energy? Well, because sometimes essential nutrients are really scarce on the outside. To survive, the cell can't just sit around and wait for them to wander in. It has to go on the hunt, actively grabbing them and pulling them inside, basically hoarding them from an area of low concentration into a higher concentration inside itself.
Okay, so we've seen the two main strategies, right? Cells can either be passive and just go with the flow, or they can get active and spend some energy to grab what they really need. Let's put it all together.
So here's the bottom line.
You've got two passive processes that are totally free energy-wise. Diffusion, which is like a smell spreading in a room, and osmosis, which is like our raisins swelling up in water. And then you've got active transport, which costs energy but lets cells do amazing things, like absorbing crucial nutrients even when they're hard to find.
All right, time for a quick pop quiz, just to make sure we've got this down. First question. Which of these processes needs the cell to spend some energy?
That's it. Active transport. That's the one that requires that energy payment to move things against their natural flow. Nicely done.
And question number 2 for you. Osmosis is that really special, really specific kind of diffusion. It only involves the movement of one particular, very important molecule. What is it?
Yep, water. Osmosis is all about the movement of water across a membrane. You got it? So as we wrap this up, just remember that right now, as you're sitting here, trillions of tiny bouncers are working nonstop inside your body, deciding what gets in and what gets out. This constant, controlled traffic is what separates life from non-life. It's literally the engine powering everything you do, which really makes you wonder, if your cells are the most exclusive clubs in the universe, what other incredible things are they doing right now just to keep you alive?